It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the South region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors South.
As I travel and fish across this great country of ours, without a doubt, the number one most frequently asked question I get is this: why do I go fishing and I don't catch fish? There are a myriad of reasons why people don't catch fish when they go. While in 35 years of fishing for a living, I haven't seen everything, I can tell you that I've seen most of it, and I've seen most of the mistakes that anglers make that keep them from putting fish in their fish basket, live well, or on their dinner table. On this week's show, it's my top 10 mistakes that anglers make. What I hope to do is reveal some of these mistakes to you, and in the process keep you from making those same mistakes and help you catch more fish when you go fishing future months and years. Now, to help us do that, I'm going to be launching my Nitro Z8 boat today in Lake Texoma. Nearly everything swims in Lake Texoma. Now, I don't know what we'll catch today, but it really doesn't matter. The focus is on teaching you how to keep from making these top 10 mistakes. While I'm out doing that, we're taking you around the region for your local fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters, your favorite lakes, rivers, and bays. So let's get the Nitro in the water and get you back to the FSN studios. Get things started with your weekend planner.
The Salooner tables are forecasting a positive outlook for the weekend at the lake. Sunday is projected to have some of the best conditions of the month, with peak daylight hours beginning at 9:46 a.m. And Sunday is listed as good, with the best time starting at 10:10 in the morning. Expect the sun to rise at 7:04 and set at 5:23.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Welcome to the big leagues.
Oh, there's one. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We've made it out on the lake on a really nice day out here today in the fall, headed into the winter time. Fox Sports Outdoors. Striper. All right. Well, it's a start anyway. A striper on a little ultralight rig. And there you go. Look how skinny that striper is. Good grief. He needs to eat something. All right, well, hey, I promised you that today we were going to be talking about the 10 biggest mistakes that I see anglers making. So let's start with where. Where you fish is the most important factor. 3 things about that. Point number 1, you need to get mobile. You need to be able to get off the bank, off the shore. You don't have to have a fancy boat rig. You can get a canoe, a kayak, a john boat, anything that gets you off the shore, and then you need an inexpensive fish finder of some kind. The Lowrance has come out with a brand new one that I promise you can afford. I'm going to show it to you at the end of today's show in the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature. Mistake number 2 is fishing too shallow. Even if you have a boat, a lot of folks just want to get up and beat the bank all the time. And I can tell you that the fish are up shallow only 2 times a year, spring and fall. The rest of the time, they're away from the shore and you can't reach them unless you get somewhere out in open water away from the shoreline. And thirdly, fishing is like real estate. It's location, location, location. You've got to find where the fish are, and we'll talk some more about that later. 3 things that will keep you from making the 3 biggest mistakes I see people making.
Hey folks, I'm Captain E, and it's time for another Carolinas Report, brought to you this week by Marshall's Marine. Located in Lake City and Georgetown, South Carolina, we're your bass boat leader since 1969. For all your family-friendly fun and for Nitro and Bass Tracker needs, visit www.marshallsmarine.com. And I tell you, I set up an exciting trip to come up and visit my buddies at Pax Landing, which I always talk about, with my good friends from Crazy Sister Marina and Pawleys Island Outdoors, and we have had a blast targeting these stripers down here. What we're doing is chasing these schools of fish that are on the shad, and I am throwing a Fashizzle jig with an ice skirt, also with a mullet from Egret Baits here, and have had some great success with this. You need to get out this time of the year on your lake albeit Hartwell, High Rock Lake, Lake Norman, the stripers are schooled up. And in the saltwater side of things, speckled trout continue to be the species to target, as my good friend Jamie Huff down in Charleston reported catching over 560 speckled trout in a 10-day stretch on charters. Get out and target them with an artificial, such as this, a jig with a grub, or a live shrimp, or artificial floated under a cork, either adjustable or popping cork, and you're sure to find some of the best speckled trout of the year as the water temperature's starting to fall. Also, the redfish are going to be schooling up and getting into that winter pattern, so get back into those shallow waters and get ready for some great redfish action. Moving to the offshore side of things, the wahoo bite continues to be great off the Carolinas, and also in North Carolina, we're starting to hear of some yellowfin starting to make that migration back south, along with some blackfin. Get out and enjoy what we've got going on this time of the year. This has been your Carolinas Report, brought to you by Marshall's Marine. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
There's one. Be a smallmouth. Maybe it is. There he comes. That's a smallmouth. He's not big, but he's the right species. All right, there's what I'm talking about. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Fox Sports Outdoors today. Flopping smallmouth bass on the bottom of the boat. Man, he's a lively one. We're at Lake Texoma today, and I've switched. I started off the day striper fishing and caught 50, and they were all small. So I finally decided, well, I'll go smallmouth bass fishing. Great population of smallmouths in Texoma, and there's one for you right there. Let that fish go back. Thanks for the business. Hey, we're talking about the top 10 mistakes that I've personally seen anglers make as I've traveled all over the country fishing for 35 years professionally that keep anglers from catching fish. So we're down to our next set, beginning with number 4, and that is missing what's going on. You have to watch for signs like birds. Gulls diving at the water are a dead giveaway of the presence of bait fish. Shad, herons, egrets sitting on the shoreline, a dead giveaway for the presence of little minnows. Loons diving always indicate the presence of some kind of bait fish. Even a subtle change in the weather can sometimes change the fishing and turn the fish on and make them start biting. The next one is ignoring the pattern. Fish are notorious tattletales, meaning if you catch one fish, I promise you there are others nearby that will bite the same bait doing the same thing. And then finally, you've got to stay on those fish. Once you actually do catch a fish, you can't lose boat control. If you take your foot off that trolling motor, let yourself drift, even for 15 seconds, that can be a complete buzzkill as far as you losing position on where the fish are. Now let's get you some more fishing and lake reports from your local area.
This week's Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi Freshwater Fishing Report is brought to you by the Alabama Gulf Coast Convention and Visitors Bureau. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach offer great year-round outdoor activities. Come enjoy our beaches, fishing, golf, water sports, and more. Check us out at www.gulfshores.com. Now, as the weather continues to get colder across the region, the best way to keep catching fish is to mimic the birds and head south. In Alabama, the most southerly place that you can catch freshwater fish is here in Gulf State Park in Gulf Shores. There's 3 lakes that are connected by canals. Shelby, Middle, and Little Lake cover a total of 900 acres. Back in 2004, Hurricane Ivan flooded these with salt water and killed a lot of the fish, but the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources has restocked the lakes with bluegill, catfish, hybrid bass, and largemouth bass. Now, 750-acre Shelby Lake still has a lot of redfish and sea trout in it since it's sort of brackish. These lakes are spring-fed, so the further upstream in the chain you go, the fresher the water gets. As a result, the bass fishing action is better in Middle and Little Lakes. Now, in the southwest corner of Georgia, Lake Seminole is a good destination for November and December fishing. Hybrid bass and crappie are the species to go after here. The hybrids are in the lower lake on the old Chattahoochee and Flint River channels. The crappie are in the same areas, and you're not going to catch big numbers, but you can catch some big slabs here in the fall. In deep south Mississippi, the Pascagoula River is good for largemouth bass right now. Target wood cover on the main river or also in the Oxbow backwaters. Things to be casting are spinner baits or soft plastics on Texas rigs.
This part of the program is brought to you by Egret Baits, makers of the new Voodoo Mullet. The Voodoo Mullet has a serrated body wiggling action that fish just can't resist, and it comes in 2 sizes to match the hatch wherever you're fishing. So try a Voodoo Mullet and let the fish do the rest. Well, cool weather and dropping water temperatures have really turned on sea trout fishing along the Gulf Coast. Fishing has been really great in Mississippi and Alabama, particularly Mississippi. Most of the larger feeder rivers going into the Gulf and some of the side tributaries coming off the bigger rivers are producing a lot of trout. The fish are still very aggressive. They're not lethargic yet because the water temperature is not that cold. But the fishing over around Bay St. Louis, Pascagoula, and the creeks in the Biloxi Bay area have been very good. What you're looking for is deep outside bends with some sort of a ledge type drop off. The fish tend to be holding at 6 to 12 feet of water. And while there's a lot of small fish, you're going to catch limit numbers of some good ones. There have been a lot of 2 to 4 pound fish being caught. Again, they're very aggressive. A lot of guys are using jigs and grubs. Voodoo Mullet is a great bait for them. Ivan Strahan tells me he's had some outstanding sheepshead fishing in the Biloxi Bay area. He's using pieces of live shrimp on a jig head, not fiddler crabs. On the Gulf Coast, they tend to like shrimp, and catching lots of 5 to 7 pound sheepshead. Those are big sheepshead. They're great, particularly on the grill. Over in Georgia, the fishing's been really good in southeast Georgia. While the bull redfish are tapering off, inshore the slot reds have been just great, and they're catching lots of trout there now, primarily with popping corks and live shrimp. Captain Tim Cutting is doing very, very well on those fish. Well, that's it for the southeast coast. Remember, get out on the water, can't catch them at home, and take a youngster with you when you go.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Mercury Marine, celebrating 75 years of marine excellence. By Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker.
There's one. Oh, it's fighting hard, whatever it is. It's a smallmouth. All right. We caught a smallmouth. That's what I wanted to catch here at Texoma. There's a lot of those in this lake. Hey everybody, welcome back to Fox Sports Outdoors. There we go, Little Brian's back. Talking to you today about some of the biggest mistakes that I see anglers making all over the country, the top 10 mistakes. So let's go right back to our graphic. And we're all the way down to number 7, and that is getting stuck on the same technique or the same bait. You've got to wait till you get where you're going, let the conditions and the fish dictate the bait or the lure that you fish with. And some guys just won't be flexible. They say, I'm gonna throw this bait until I catch one. You've got to have several lures, several baits out, and experiment around with several different ones until you find something that works. You go to the lake with a flexible attitude. And then the next one deals with attitude. And that's with developing a negative attitude. Some guys just say, well, I don't think I'm gonna catch any, or well, it's gonna be a bad day. And you can't do that. You've got to stay mentally positive, mentally tuned in, and you've got to believe that you could catch a fish on any cast you make, because that is absolutely true. If you're not positive, if you're not expecting a bite, a lot of times it'll catch you off guard, and I see a lot of anglers lose a lot of fish because of a negative mental attitude. That's 2 really important keys. Let's check in right now with Crispin Powley, Tennessee and Kentucky.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report. It's brought to you by beautiful Benton County, Tennessee. When you're looking for the destination for your next outdoor getaway, look no farther than beautiful Benton County, Tennessee, with all the amenities an outdoor lover could ask for. So the next time you get ready to take your family on a vacation, or if you're just looking for your next hunting or fishing trip, look no farther than Benton County, Tennessee. Gang, the fishing is really, really good right now. I am so glad to say that. I feel like we hit a little lull there for a couple of weeks, but Center Hill Lake is really good right now. The topwater bite is outstanding. Old Hickory and Percy Priest in the Nashville area are both very good as well. Dale Hollow is on fire. The smallies are doing it. They're up, they're shallow. You can catch them on moving baits. That place is where the world record's from. You're not really gonna beat it for smallmouth fishing in the South. Kentucky Lake, Pickwick, Barkley Lake, Chickamauga, the Tennessee and Cumberland rivers and all the lakes that are made up by that are in full swing right now. Guys, the bass are going nuts. They're getting ready for winter, which means they're really feeding heavily. Spinner baits, shallow crankbaits, lipless baits like a Strike King Red Eye Shad, and a walking bait or a buzz bait on top will account for just incredible catches right now. All you got to do is go in the backs of a pocket, look for a flat area, look for surface activity, look for birds. They're not real hard to find. Once you get in them, you'll know it. You're not going to catch one, they're schooled up. You're going to catch a bunch right now. Crappie are really biting too. A Mr. Crappie Joker is the hot thing on Kentucky Lake right now, and I'm going to go ahead and give the secret out, but it's June bug with chartreuse tails. Guys, we'd love to see you on the water in Tennessee and Kentucky. God bless.
There he is. Got one. Up. Nice smallie. All right. Well, and I lost him. All right, well, we got the fight out of him and a nice jump anyway, and as you can see behind me, these smallmouths live in the lower end of Lake Texoma on these rocky, gravelly banks. Before we go to the next break, let me give you the next two most common mistakes I see anglers making, and that is fighting fish improperly. A lot of anglers panic when they get a fish on, especially a big fish, and they just start cranking like crazy. When you do that, something's got to give. It'll be the weakest link. It could be the hook not embedded fully in the fish's mouth and it could pull out. It could be a nick in that line and the line could break. Your rod could break. Your reel could strip. Lots of things can happen when you panic, put too much pressure on a fish. Make sure your drag is set properly, whether it's on a spinning reel like this or a bait cast reel, so that that fish can pull some drag. Be patient and gently work that fish to the boat. And then finally, improper handling of fish is the last mistake I see anglers make. And that would be flopping a fish in the boat green, trying to grab it with hooks flying all over the place. Let me show you a quick shot here of what can happen. It was a big catfish. It had a spinner bait hanging out the side of his mouth, and I brought it in too quickly, was fighting it in the boat without a net, wound up having to go to the hospital, and a gill plate can cut you as well. Lots of bad things can happen when you're not very careful in handling those fish once you get them in the boat. We'll be right back after this.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Luz, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing. By Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro, where viewers get insider tips from top anglers. This week's question is from Paul, who writes, I fish mostly in murky water with only 3 to 4 inches of visibility. Does crankbait color really make a difference? For the answer, we checked with Bassmaster Elite angler Tommy Biffle.
I would think so. You know, we all, probably black and chartreuse is a favorite crankbait among the pros in real muddy water. So, I think there's a definitely, either some kind of bright color or a real dark color like a black or something would be. But 3 or 4 inches of visibility is not a bad situation.
Thanks, Tommy. If you need help from one of the pros, visit foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now let's see who wins a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest is Matt Epps of Ackworth, Georgia. Matt is showing off a 23-pound striped bass he caught out of Altoona Lake, which is north of Atlanta, Georgia. He wins his choice of any pair of Costa sunglasses, and if you would like to be eligible, all you have to do is go to the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, follow the instructions, send us your photo, and you could be our next winner. If you'd like to see all the Costa sunglasses, just go to their website, go back to the front page of our website, click on the Costa logo. You can see all the frame and lens styles there on their website, including the double haul frame style camo pattern that I was wearing on this week's episode. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, it's the right gear. First of all, if you want to get off the shore, get your first small boat of some kind, there is a new fish finder on the market by Lowrance that is perfect. It's the Elite 3X Color Fish Finder. It's a full-featured sonar unit. Comes with everything you'll need to see those fish and see your depth in full color. Get this, all for under $100. Check it out at the Lowrance website, or it's available at your local Academy Sports and Outdoors store. Now, the two baits that we use today to catch both the stripers and the smallmouth bass were the Gene LaRue Rally Grub. It's a relatively new bait on the market. It swims beautifully in the water. It's a perfect length at about 3.5 inches. Comes in lots of beautiful colors. We use that chartreuse color to catch the stripers, and then we use that little darker watermelon color to catch the smallmouth bass. In the recently completed midterm elections in November, less than 40% of America voted. 65% of Americans polled said the country was headed in the wrong direction, but yet more than half the voters never showed up to the polls to do anything about it. I believe that you and I have not only a responsibility to vote, but to become knowledgeable about the issues so that we know who to vote for that represents our views. Most folks don't even know who represents them in either Congress or at the state government level, and there's an easy way to find out. You just go to any browser. In the search bar, type in "Who represents me?" It will take you to a website. You put in your address, and it will show you who represents you in your state government and at the federal government level. If you are one of those that believes our country is headed in the wrong direction, you and I can do something about it. Type "Who represents me" in a search bar and send messages to your local congressman or state representative. I hope you enjoyed our trip today to Lake Texoma, but more importantly, I hope you learned from some of the 10 most common mistakes that anglers make. The mistakes are staying shorebound. You need to get some kind of a boat and a simple fish finder. Fishing too shallow. You need to get off the shoreline, off the bank. Fishing where the fish aren't. It's all about location, location, location. You have to find where the fish are. Missing what's going on. Watch the birds. Watch the bait fish. Watch the weather. Number 5, ignoring the pattern. Fish are notorious tattletales. Catch one. If you copy that pattern, you can catch more. Losing boat control. 15 seconds can drift you off the spot and you might not catch another fish. Getting stuck on the same technique or bait. Losing mental focus, developing a negative attitude, fighting fish improperly, and carelessness in handling fish can cost you a trip to the hospital like it did me. Don't forget that next week's show is on Thanksgiving evening or Thanksgiving night, depending on where in our region you live. And don't forget, you can always see the latest episode of our show 24/7 on the front page of our website. We're also up on Facebook and Twitter at the addresses you see on your screen for all the latest fishing news, photos, and video that we don't have time to show you here on the television show. From Lake Texoma, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.